Welcome to the Business SOS podcast. This is Rich Sierra, president of Florida Small Business Legal Center. This is episode 159 of the podcast. We're continuing our conversation with Stacy Lucis that we started last week. Welcome, Stacy, back to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
We have so much material to cover. I barely went through my outline, so we probably have to do this again sometime. So we talked about redefining success last time. I want to talk about your second point, living authentically.
Yeah.
What does that mean? And tell us a little more about it.
I think that kind of gets people a little bit tense, right? So they think, but I am authentic. I'm not fake. I think that, so there's a nuance with it. It is, I think authenticity gets harder, one, the older we get, but two, the more successful we get. So what are people going to say if I switch careers? What if I, instead of being a conglomerate leader, I want to be an author? What does that say about me? What are they going to say about me? I think living authentically means saying no to things in the past you would have said yes to. That's hard because what if it's saying no to family members that want to borrow money?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right? I think that it's taking on a client that maybe ethically you don't connect with or you're not aligned with.
Yeah.
So I think as we get older, authenticity means, am I true to the me in the me? Because, our subconscious only allows us to get away with but so much. So there's a cost to that if you're not living authentically. And it's very stealth. Maybe it's sleepless nights. Maybe it's racing thoughts. Maybe it's hesitation around what makes you happy. There's a word we don't really use much anymore, which is joyful. Like what brings me joy?
Yeah.
People are like, who has time for joy? I'm busy.
There's no time.
But we find an immense sort of ego stroke in saying we're busy. I have girlfriends, in the military, they have this term called eat your own dog food.
Okay.
Like if you're going to give advice, make sure you're walking the talk, right? And one of it is we were trying to coordinate a girls' weekend. We used to do those every year and it's kind of fallen apart. And one of my girlfriends, she got diagnosed with breast cancer last year, had a double mastectomy. So she's like, no, we're doing it this year. And so we're all going to go. But Rich, it took us about 6 months to coordinate calendars. Mm-hmm. And so living authentically to me means being really clear about what you want in your life and then being really clear also about what you don't want. And some of it is going to feel uncomfortable because it takes you away from maybe your bottom line or a relationship that maybe you have been the people pleaser in and suddenly you're pushing back. Maybe it's telling your kids no, but you feel guilty because you haven't spent time with them because you were working so much. And now you're raising, forgive me, spoiled brats, right? Yeah. So living authentically it's not for the faint of heart.
You mentioned one of your podcasts was about you might be living, maybe I'm paraphrasing it, hopefully I paraphrase it correctly. You might be living the life that you do not want to live or something to that effect or...
Yeah, the unintentional life.
Yes.
So I think for many of us, we fall into society's definition of what success is. And for a lot of us, it looks and smells the same. It is a successful job, a big title, a couple of cars, nice house, maybe a vacation house. Our kids are in the best colleges. So it's a definition handed to us. For women, I think that's shifting because for us, it was have a good husband. Right. I'm dating myself here. Right. I'm a Gen X cusper. It's have kids. My sisters, not to out them, but they've kind of made decisions that they don't want kids. And by society's definition of a woman, why don't you want to be a mother?
Yeah.
So I think that that redefinition of success is like a huge one as you go into that.
I think people have to have permission also to make changes.
But who's going to give you that permission if not yourself?
You got to give yourself, yes.
Yeah.
And stand your ground.
That's where the living authentically comes in. I've put in boundaries with my extended family that I I think, surprise some of them, you know? But if it makes me feel a certain way to be around certain people, I'm just not going to do that anymore. And I think you mentioned growing up in Puerto Rico, in Trinidad, I mean, these collectivist cultures are pretty much the same.
Mm-hmm.
We go and we suck up how we feel for the good of the family.
Yeah.
And I just, no more of that for me.
What a business owner can do if he or she feels that perhaps it needs change with respect to how he feels about his life at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
He's running this business and happy with it. He feels he needs to continue because that's where he feels his family. So what can somebody do to make that shift, to make that change?
Yeah. I think a lot of building on what does success mean? A lot of us have defined our worth and our intrinsic self by our titles.
Yes.
And so,
look at LinkedIn.
Yes. So when I meet you, especially I think in Western society, I will be like, what's your name? What do you do? It's the first question you're asked.
Yeah.
And if it's something that the person deems menial, then you've lost your value in the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Which is so shitty, right?
Yeah, people are judged by what
Correct.
they do. Yes.
So what if now you have to reconcile, I am the owner of this business and I am deeply unfulfilled. I think there are a number of ways to get around that. And I use some of it. One, what are you passionate about? For me, it's women's empowerment, poor women's empowerment, like people that don't have the resources that I now have. Didn't always have it.
Mm-hmm.
So I looked for organizations that I could volunteer. So I did. I was on the board of UN Women. I led committees with a couple of local leadership and foundations here in South Florida. I volunteered for Boca Helping Hands. Domestic violence is deeply personal to me in the sense of a couple of my family members were in abusive relationships. And as a child, it impacted me watching that. And so I will volunteer for women in distress in I think Pompano. So I think there are ways to get around it. And it goes back to your point about, I don't necessarily think if we are business owners, we can kid ourselves that we'll always have work-life balance.
That doesn't exist.
It doesn't exist. I
No.
think it's work-life integration. And so integrating your core values, what authentic means to you, you will find ways to separate your work identity and your sense of self wrapped up in the work and be able to almost create opportunities to have joy.
Yeah.
And I think that is a sweet spot. So for me, it looked like later mornings. It looked like actually going to the gym because vitality is important to me. I want to be that old grandma that's like traveling with my kids all over the world. Mm-hmm. And for a while, so I have an autoimmune disease and all of these things that I say I have, they don't define me, but at one point they did.
Okay.
But it was a result and a consequence of not living a whole life. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. And
Yeah.
I think that you talk about the work-life integration, and I think we also have to redefine what retirement looks like.
Yeah.
And simply because of the obligations that we all have at this stage of our
Yes.
lives,
Yes.
taking care of aging parents, we have young adults. When we were in our 30s, we pretty much were launched.
Mm-hmm.
Now we're helping them. That's the only way they're going to be able to launch with our assistance.
Yeah.
So, and also when do you take vacations?
Mm-hmm.
Like I told my wife, Sharon, I'm not waiting until I'm 75 to begin to take a vacation.
Mm-hmm.
No,
Yeah.
we're doing that now. And
Yeah.
every year we take a big trip to Europe.
Yeah.
While we're healthy, we can walk and we can, enjoy ourselves.
Yeah.
And I've seen just too many stories of people that wait until they retire, quote unquote,
Mm-hmm.
in their 70s. And then something happens with their health that they cannot go on trips.
I want to offer you a perspective. I went to a seminar many years ago, and the woman that presented talked about this concept of Me Incorporated, Me Inc.
Yes, I remember. Yes.
And as a young founder, executive, it shocked me because I'd never thought of it that way. And so I'll equate it to what your listeners know, what we all know. So in an organization, in a business, if whether you're an employee or the owner, we have a mission and a vision and strategic objectives. And we define our board of directors or our organizational structure. And that's how we're successful, right? Yep. In our lives, we kind of leave that shit to happenstance. And so for me, my board of directors, what do I need in my life? And who do I want to be? So my husband and I, Sunday is going to be 23 years of marriage.
Congratulations.
Thank you. That, thankfully he's my best friend even before we were married, but that takes work. And one of the biggest reconciliations him and I had to have as a couple of years ago was, who are we to each other right now as the kids are growing up and leaving the house, as we're dealing with aging and ailing parents. And that foundation was shifting. We got married when we were babies, right? And we had to have a vision and a mission for our marriage. Like who are we as humans and as a couple?
Yeah.
And we translated that to the kids. And so in my board of directors now, and this is going to sound crazy, and I know there are people that don't have the resources to do this. I have somebody that comes in twice a week to clean the house because with my lifestyle, I was killing myself. I got paid somebody to pick my son up from school.
You delegate.
And I think in business also, if you are the penultimate for every part of that business because you do it best, when you are in jeopardy, when your health is in jeopardy, the whole thing falls apart. And I don't believe there's any honor in wanting all of that power for yourself. How do you create a succession plan? How do you create people that can support the life that you're leading, the business that you have, if you are the authoritarian in that business? And I think as solopreneurs, that gets harder.
Yes, it does.
As entrepreneurs, it gets harder. But maybe there's things you can delegate, whether it's social media, whatever it is. And I think the board of directors also means who are the 2 or 3 people that can call a red card when you're messing up, when you're not living the way that you said you wanted to live. Every year, I don't know about you, but every year I try to take 1 week where I really think through, what did the last year look like? What's my strategic plan? I'm a strategist by nature. I used to do that for Homeland Security. But it's ingrained in me to know, okay, what do I want to do for this year? And then every quarter I put in my calendar a half a day where I go to the beach, which is my safe space. And I actually give myself a grade. Like, Stacey, you said you wanted to work out 2 times a week or 3 times a week. You said you wanted to have a date night with your son in addition to your husband, because, Adam, my youngest is 16 and my eldest is going to be 20. She goes to UCF and Adam's, of course, in high school.
So I went to UCF too.
Yeah. But I wanted to spend quality time with them. And that meant I had to carve that into my routine on a consistent basis. So he knew he was they know rather. And I made mistakes with my daughter that I do want to repeat with my son. Because when she was young, I was in the thick of workaholic,
Yeah.
So I think that your personal board of directors, my daughter is on my personal board of directors. She's a young adult navigating a world sometimes I know nothing about. So I ask her to cross-check me sometimes. I'm like, what am I doing that feels off to you in our relationship or in our house? Or she's like, Mom, you're back on the computer after dinner. And she's right.
Yeah, don't do that.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So who are your trusted advisors? I think having a mentor that is at least 2 decades older than you. You talk about people retiring, and I think that we forget seniors. We forget that they have this rich 80 years of experience that we don't have.
Yeah.
And I think even going into old, I don't know what the right term is, the retirement homes, they're forgotten. And I think even volunteering in some spaces like those, or visiting and like talking to people.
Mm-hmm.
I saw in I think it was a European country, it's Rent a Grandma.
Really?
All these nanas are hanging around with nobody to like coddle, and people that actually were orphans or have a strange relationships with their parents. You know how they do speed dating or speed networking?
Yes.
You go hang out with Nana and you kind of just ask questions about life. And I found it really touched me.
Yeah.
But also find spaces for your board of directors that are unexpected. I always like to have friends that are at least 10 years younger than me or more. And I say friends, even work colleagues, and then way ahead of the pack than me. And then I get to like, that's a board of directors, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. My board director is my wife. She keeps me kind of like,
Of course.
she calls me out when she needs to.
Yes. And it's
And she
important
listens
you
to the
nurture
podcast.
that.
She listens to the podcast. So
I love that.
yes.
What's
Kind of
her
tells-
name?
Sharon.
Sharon. You're doing a good job, Sharon.
And then she tells me, you sounded good, or you had to fix that. You went too fast. So she's kind of like my quality control.
I love that.
Yeah.
My husband watches mine on YouTube and gives the same feedback. But I use the partner relationship, and not everybody's blessed with, a spouse.
And what is his name?
Kevin.
Kevin.
Kevin's going through, he's going through his own life challenge right now. He lost both parents within the last 9 months.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Condolences.
And they went 152 days apart from each other.
Well,
And it was brutal. But if we hadn't done the work to be a growth-minded couple, stuff like that really tears you up.
yeah.
He's like the strong silent type, and I'm the out there doing podcasts and whatever. And suddenly my guy disappeared into grief. So I think understanding yourself and understanding your loosely board of directors, but who your people are, equips you for the hard seasons, Rich, because we're all in for some really hard seasons.
Yeah, there's storms that eventually pass.
Correct.
You just got to get through them.
Yeah, we got to navigate, right?
Yeah.
So are we equipped to do that?
Yeah.
And for many of us, work has superseded real life. And then when something happens, we're unprepared. Yeah.
There's something about delegation. I think that's very important, especially, a lot of attorneys work by themselves.
Yeah.
And now the vast amount of information that we get is so overwhelming that it's just impossible for one individual to be able to handle it. So delegation, especially with attorneys, is important. And I'm fortunate enough to have a good paralegal, Richard Fariel, has been with me for like 6 years now.
Yeah.
And I have a number of contract attorneys to help me out as well. I try to delegate where I can, but a lot of I can delegate more. I just don't. But even in the house, we have a person comes in, been with us for like 10 years. So we try to delegate as much, but a lot of business owners don't delegate. And they try to do things themselves. And I see it in legal.
Yeah.
And which is the reason they come back sometimes to me, because they get into some business transactions. They sell their businesses and they just don't get an attorney. And then they do a promissory note as part of the deal. The promissory note doesn't get paid back. And now they want to sue. And then the other guy said, well, the financials you gave me are wrong. So they find a reason why to sue. And then the lawsuit is usually, it's easier for the other side to sue the person selling the business because they know at some point they're going to get a discount, the note, or eliminate it completely.
Yeah.
And they do that.
Yeah.
But that all would have been prevented if they would have gotten an attorney in the first place.
Yeah.
Which reason why I wrote my book.
Yeah.
That why is it that they just want to do things themselves and not get the help that they need?
Well, I will speak personally. Stacy with her first business and Stacy now as a mature business owner with a co-founder who's doing a capital raise, right? Like big boys, big girls things. I wanted to do everything myself because guess what? All of the qualities that have made me successful were, for the large part, of my own initiative, whether it was college or the first job or my merit, my individual efforts propelled me forward. I think entrepreneurs have that adventurous spirit and they kind of want to do everything themselves. We also I'm talking to my Gen Xers here. One, we think we can do everything. There's nothing we won't learn. We are self-starters. We are independent to a fault, right? And I think that can only carry us so far. Grown up me, right, with my business now, a legal perspective is the first thing we got, even with our co-founders agreement. A legal perspective is the first thing we got with our bylaws, because being proactive and strategic about having legal as part of your entrepreneurial board of directors, even for branding, we got an attorney to copyright our brand.
You need that, yeah.
None of those things I did in my first business. And so I didn't pay any kind of hefty price because I was a solopreneur. But now when we're going into international waters and like it's different.
You're raising capital too, which just raises the bar significantly.
So I will say that it is imperative, even if you think you are a mom and pop, to have legal counsel, to be course corrected, to make it a part of whatever expenditures you do. It's as important, if not more, than your quote unquote social media or marketing, to me, you know?
Yeah. At the very minimum, I think business owners need an attorney, need an accountant, and they need a business insurance broker to get the liability insurance cover. At least with those three, you can get started.
And it's your risk management, right? It's your basic risk management plan. And I think that it's always harder on the other side. Yeah. When the house is burning down, you're like, oh my God, I should have. Like, don't be that person. This is so funny. Maybe unrelated, but I had a friend, she was happily married, and we were all having, we called it book club, but really Richard was wine club.
Okay, right.
And we were all sitting around, and she mentioned that her and her husband had started therapy. So of course we were aghast. We were like, oh my God, are you guys in trouble? Like, what's happening? And she said, no, we're fine. We're happy. We want to stay happy. That's why we're going to therapy.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, I had never thought of it that way. And so I think with legal, we have a negative connotation of when we need a lawyer.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think the mindset of having a lawyer as a strategic part of your team, your A team, just like your accountant or your finance person, it's going to save you so much stress downstream.
Stress and money. And aggravation, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I can tell you some stories. Many of them.
Imagine.
Yes. And it is like people answering lawsuits by themselves.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
And by the time when you answer the lawsuit, sometimes you give up defenses. Mm-hmm. You provide information to the opposing side you're not supposed to provide. Yeah. They respond to discovery they don't have to respond to. Yeah. They send letters to the judge, which they're just not going to read them.
Mm-hmm. What do you say to people where cost is there? I call it a safe alibi, right? I can't afford a lawyer. Like, what do you say to people like that?
The cost of trying to solve that problem is going to be even more.
Right.
It's a lot
triple, more than that.
A lot more.
Yeah.
A lot more. I think that, my rule is like if you have a contract you do not understand, do not sign it. Yeah. And get an attorney to help you explain the contract. They're not going to tell you not to sign it. It's up to you. But you need to know what you're getting into and why you're signing. And then it's up to you. You want to sign it, but at least you understand it. Number two, if you get a demand letter from an attorney, you got to get an attorney. Don't try to negotiate with the attorney any terms because you're going to be completely outmatched. That's what they do for a living. They're trained professionals in the art of negotiation. So you can't negotiate with an attorney. You're going to be completely outmatched. Yeah. You got to get somebody who understands that it can be at the same level. And much less, don't try to defend a lawsuit by yourself. It's just going to be... you're going to lose. Even if you're right on the facts, you will loosen the law. There's just too many rules.
One of the things I see the most even with the communities that I'm in now, the leaders I'm in now, is we all want to go into business with people we like and we trust until you don't. And what do you say to people like in those situations where the relationship is in jeopardy because you don't want to like have boundaries or hold firm to things?
In terms of partnerships, nothing wrong going to partnerships. What I see that is wrong is people going to partnerships without a written document.
Yeah.
I see that often. And then with my friend, no worries. We trust each other. Then something happens. Either when they're making too much money, something happens. They're not making any money, something happens. Usually those are extremes. And I get those potential clients say, I was in the business with this person. I'm not in the lease, which is, red flag number one. And I'm not in the bank account. And then he kicked me out. But I invested $100,000 in the business.
Sure.
What do I do?
Yeah.
I'm like, so we have to kind of recreate an agreement. And I said, do you have an agreement? We have text messages.
Yeah.
That's all I have. And I'm not exaggerating that. And so there's so much we can do. Yes, there are things that we can do with the law, try to enforce the agreement, but you try to recreate an agreement based on text messages and phone calls, that makes it impossible.
Yeah.
So what I do, I give a operating agreement questionnaire, and then this is the questionnaire. You guys fill it out. And if you cannot get through these questions, you should not be partners.
Yeah. One thing
But put it in writing is really my
yes.
advice.
One thing I didn't appreciate when I put like a legal lens on as a business owner and as a mom is when your kids turn 18.
Ooh.
Like the significance of them, quote unquote, being seen as an adult.
Correct.
And then talking about assets, talking about financial responsibility, talking about all of these things. And on the other end of the spectrum, so my parents, of course, are retired and going through their things. My brother has Down syndrome. And so I had to get legal advice because I can't, I think for me, I guess what I'm trying to say is when you evaluate your life situation and the season that you're in, understand that being naive about something is not going to make it any better when things go south.
Correct.
And so owning that I had no idea what to do in a lot of these situations was the first step to like, one, asking for help or asking trusted people, who do you recommend? But also now that now that we're in it, and I go back to everything for me now is being proactive as best as I can because I almost died and left everything. We didn't even have an estate plan. We had nothing, no plan.
Well, okay.
So a big part of this is how are you creating contingency plans and using strategic relationships with legal advice to make your life actually better and plan for the unseen, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just makes it a lot easier.
Yeah.
The future.
For sure.
So I want to talk about leading courageously. And I think we just touched upon that. Tell me a little bit more about that.
Many times we equate leading to an organization or a company or something you do for the benefit of others. And it is, right? But I think where it gets tricky is when you are not leading with integrity with yourself. And therein lies the conundrum. So you want to do a great job. You want to be this great company. If you have a foundation or something that is very non-for-profit or like philanthropy, you want to be and do the best for everybody else. And I think if you are the weak link, then it's all for naught. It means nothing. And I think we make it so easy to break our own promises, whether it's our health, our relationships, our spirituality, where we put our time, that it bleeds out into everything else. And leading courageously for me is, how do I stand firm and become the foundation? Because building, I say this funny enough, but building castles on quicksand,
it's not going to work.
It's not going to work. So how do I lead myself courageously? And sometimes it takes a shorter amount of time than necessary. Sometimes it takes years or decades, depending on your trauma and like your past and stuff. But I do think that is the work. And then when I started doing work on myself, it made me a better mother, a better leader, a better wife, a better daughter, a better sister, a better friend. and osmosis.
Hmm.
My friends were interested in how come I was so calm all the time. I showed up better at work. I implemented new things. And I was leading at the time, I was the president of the Women's Forum at FEMA. So it was about 2,200 women across the country. And I started understanding what they needed from a leader, not projecting leadership. And I think that is like, it was the most beautiful thing, but it's always hard.
Yeah.
So we have to pick our hard, right? And so I think once you lead yourself, people start asking questions. So our friends was like, oh my God, you and Kevin seem so different, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh my God, we did relationship coaching. I was parenting different, and I was giving my friends advice because, you got kids that want to vape and want to have sex really early. And like, we are unprepared for the things they're dealing with at an earlier age.
Yeah, that's true.
So I got parent coaching for myself because I could not command control anymore. It was weird. It felt weird. Mm-hmm. I felt like I was a failure. Like, I should know this. People have been parenting for centuries.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean they were parenting well.
Correct. Yes. Yes.
So I think leading courageously means, oh my gosh, what hard work do I have to do with myself? And the amazing consequence outcome means that there are all these facets of our life, including our businesses and our profession and what we're passionate about, benefit from that. So that's where that ripple effect happens. Lead yourself, then your family, and then everybody in your circle is like, oh my God, like, how do I do that? And we all want to like matter. Mm-hmm. I think at the end of the day, I think you and I talked about this. There's research done like at the end of life, which for many of us is going to be in our 80s.
Yeah.
This woman in hospice did this research that end of life, it was a lot of I should have. And I think we are in a beautiful space right now in midlife to figure out what maybe the should haves are going to be and close the gap.
And just get them done.
Get them done. Right? And I think that's what leading courageously means. It's, everything is going to be hard, Rich. We just have to pick our hard.
Correct. It's also, I think, recognizing that at least as I get older, I don't have all the answers. And it is okay to look for help and ask for help and get some other feedback to be able to get to the right decision.
Yeah. I have a lot of men in my circle right now that are leaders, but are also meeting together to talk about hard things, whether it's grief or mental wellness or parenting, or their wives going through menopause and they have no idea who this person is anymore. And I think talking very candidly about what our parents need in their elder years, talking about the fear that we have. I think that vulnerability is self-mastery. And, it's important we kind of normalize some of this.
I agree with you. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think the COVID might have helped some of that before, if we're not in an office, people not take it seriously, then we had to work from home. So.
Yeah. Well, it's like we had a worldwide reckoning.
Yeah.
Because we were all fearful of this unknown thing that could potentially wipe us out.
Yeah.
So everybody went into their hidey holes, mentally, spiritually, otherwise, and we had this moment of self-reflection. And then it quickly went away.
Yeah. Pretty much, yes.
For the majority of people.
That's pretty much gone. Any final thoughts you want to give our audience? Any advice in terms of focusing on the topics of leading courageously and authenticity?
I think that none of this has to be bigger than you yourself and what you're capable of doing. Some of us are very privileged to have more resources. So we can get a coach, we can go to therapy, we can go to retreats, we can do all of these global things that make us better. But I think that you yourself having a mindset shift and a clearer understanding of who do I actually want to be in the world if I were to die today is important. And a quick strategy to do this is, it's a little bit morbid. Okay. Write your eulogy as you are today, not as you wish to be. write it as you are today. And so for me, when I did that exercise, it was pretty mundane. I was an okay wife. I was a decent mom. I checked all the boxes, doctor's appointments, school lunches, PTA, clothes, but the quality time was missing. I was a functional daughter, meaning that I was responsible for my parents. If they called, I answered. I helped them pay bills. I was a decent friend, but nothing was extraordinary. And I think that's the hardest thing. What had I done that was extraordinary in the world? What was I joyful about? And a lot of it was pretty mediocre status quo stuff. And then what I want you to do after you sit with that is play some really good music. Have a glass of wine or water or whatever, dance it out, and then go back to the drawing board and write the life you want. For me, it was, I want to be a best-selling author. I want to run a company that changes lives. I want to meet incredible people. And I'm a storyteller. And so, I wrote that maybe 6 years ago. Yeah. And I tell you, the other day I found my old vision board. I also do vision boards.
Okay.
I pulled it out, Rich, and maybe 80% of that I do now, and it doesn't look the way I thought it would look. But the intention is there.
Okay.
And I think that's what I would say is if you don't start now, you may not have the privilege that I had, right? Which is to come back and have a do-over.
And I think something I learned about goal setting is that you don't have to have all the answers or know exactly how you're going to get to the finish line. Just got to get started.
Yes.
And
it's going to be messy either way, man.
And yeah, you're going to be detours, going to be a lot of challenges, obstacles. And I remember in one of the first jobs I had right after college was selling cars, and they bring us motivational speakers and all that. He said something that still stuck with me. This was close to 40 years ago. He said, when you move confidently in the direction of your dreams, success will follow after you.
Absolutely.
And that's stuck
I'm
with
living
me.
that right now, and it's 12 years later. This is not going to happen overnight. And I think if you have to pick your hard.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wrapping us up.
Getting a sign from the producer. Getting us out of here. Stacey, thank you very much for a very insightful interview. Love to have you back at some point. I want to talk about your book.
It was my pleasure.
How do people find you?
Yeah, you can find me on LinkedIn or Instagram at Stacey, Stacey, Luces, Luces. And I'd love for you to listen to the podcast Beyond the Quote and send me your feedback. Okay, so you heard it. Beyond the Quote, you got to go to, after this podcast, if you have not done it before in the last one, Apple Podcast, Spotify, it's back. If you're listening now, one of those two, look Beyond the Quote, Stacey Luces, and subscribe. Yes. You will love the podcast as much as I do. Thank you so much. Okay. You're welcome. Appreciate you. Again, this is Rich Sierra with Florida Small Business Legal Center. Remember that my goal is to help you succeed.